forget drug mules. Europe is being conquered by carbon fiber submarines, corrupt officials, and a record flood of high-purity cocaine.
It signals a fundamental collapse of border security and, really, institutional control.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a long, hard look at the rapid, and I mean sophisticated, evolution of criminal networks that are just completely overwhelming Europe's defenses.
Yeah, our mission here is to synthesize the sources and really get our heads around the sheer scale of this threat. We need to look at the innovative tactics these criminals use and, specifically where our own systems are failing.
And turning the continent into this massive consumer market and criminal hub.
Exactly.
And the statistics, I mean, they just lay it all bare immediately. This isn't isolated anymore. Cocaine is now the second most used illicit drug in Europe.
And its availability is just going up and up. If you look at 2023, authorities seized 419 tons of it in the EU.
419 tons. And that was the 7th consecutive record year, right?
The 7th. And to put that into context, the supply chain it's heavily centralized.
Okay.
Belgium, the Netherlands, and Spain.
Right, the big port countries.
Those three alone accounted for 72% of that colossal total. Even Germany seized, 43 tons last year?
But here's the part that I just can't get my head around. The most critical data point. Retail cocaine purity has increased by 34% since 2013.
Right.
So even with authorities seizing more than ever before, the quality is going up and the wholesale prices are actually dropping.
Precisely. And what does that tell you? It indicates a massive, persistent oversupply.
It means they're barely making a dent.
Think of it this way. Police intercept 400 tons, but that suggests, 800 or even 1,000 tons are getting through. The system is designed to stop a stream, but they're facing a tidal wave.
So, okay, let's look at that failing perimeter. We know the major ports, Rotterdam, Antwerp, they've been forced to tighten security.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you lock the front door?
You get what the sources call the waterbed effect.
The waterbed effect.
Yeah, you push down on one spot, the pressure just moves somewhere else. Increased enforcement at the big hubs. It doesn't stop the flow, it just diverts it to more vulnerable areas.
So they're not giving up, they're just rerouting their logistics. The path of least resistance.
Exactly. They are strategic. They're now actively targeting alternative ports in Northern Europe, think Sweden, Poland, and at the same time, Southeastern Europe, Greece, Turkey.
We saw that happen, right? There was a big seizure in Sweden.
We did. A clear sign of the shift.
Yeah.
April 2024, 1.4 tons seized in the smaller port of Nynäshamn, Sweden. And they're also changing their tactics, moving away from those huge multi-ton shipments.
The all-or-nothing approach.
Right. They're trading volume for frequency now. Smaller, more frequent loads, often under 100 kilos.
So if one gets caught, it's just a business expense.
It's an acceptable loss. Dutch authorities reported intercepted shipments under 100 kilos went from 89 in 2022 to 115 in 2024. It shows this incredible tactical flexibility.
That's the physical border. But what happens when the defense itself is rotten? Let's talk about corruption. How are they getting inside the system?
This is where institutional control just completely collapses because the infiltration is systemic.
It's not one bad apple.
No. They systematically recruit people inside the logistical supply chains. They use methods like container switching and the big one, code fraud.
Code fraud. So corrupt port officials are just sharing the PIN codes needed to release the containers.
They're handing over the digital keys to the kingdom. It's a single point of failure that gets exploited again and again.
So they're rolling out new systems to combat this, I assume.
They are. Things like Rotterdam's secure chain or certified pickup in Antwerp, Bruges. They're designed to, take the human element out of it.
There are no more PIN codes to share.
The idea is to move to an encrypted, automated, maybe even biometric system. Make that kind of corruption obsolete. If they can get it implemented fast enough, that is.
But the corruption isn't just at the top, is it? It goes all the way down.
Oh yeah, it reaches down into the streets. They recruit local actors they call drug extractors.
Drug extract.
Often young men from underprivileged areas. Their job is to physically go in and retrieve the drugs from the containers. For that, they're paid very well, around 2,000 euros per kilogram.
And the risk.
And here is the critical governance failure. If these guys are caught without the drugs, maybe just for trespassing, they often face a fine of just 100 euros.
100 euros. You, the listener, would get a more serious penalty for shoplifting. They're getting a speeding ticket for helping a multi-million-euro drug operation.
Exactly. The punishment doesn't fit the crime at all. For the criminal organizations, that fine is just a minor operating expense. It's basically an open invitation.
That is staggering. Okay, so for the cartels that don't want to rely on bribing people at all, they've gone a step further. They're making the cargo itself invisible.
This brings us to the really astonishing evolution in their methods. We're talking about the deployment of narco submarines.
Right. And these aren't just some guys in a speedboat.
No. These are professional, custom-built vessels, semi-submersible or fully submersible, up to 20 meters long, often built from carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber, so they're built to be invisible.
Absolutely. Their low profile and non-metallic construction make them nearly impossible to detect. Not by radar, not visually, not by sonar. And this is not theoretical.
We know they work.
We know they work. They seized one off the coast of Galicia in 2019. It was carrying 3 metric tons of cocaine.
3 metric tons. Wow.
Yeah.
And if they can't hide the vessel, they hide the product inside the cargo.
Correct. Sophisticated chemical masking. They can liquefy the cocaine or chemically incorporate it into legal cargo, things like coal or wine.
Or even furniture.
Or furniture, electronics. The process makes standard container scanners and even sniffer dogs completely ineffective. The product is no longer recognizable as cocaine.
And here's where it gets, for me, the most alarming. They're not just shipping it anymore. They're bringing the manufacturing process to Europe.
Yeah.
It's like they're nearshoring the entire industry.
They absolutely are. Why risk the finished product when you can ship the ingredients? The rise in these chemical seizures coincides directly with police dismantling cocaine processing labs across Europe.
Where are these labs?
Spain, the Netherlands, France, Belgium, Greece. These labs do the final secondary extraction to turn the concealed cocaine base back into powder.
It just reduces their vulnerability at every stage of the chain.
And this nearshoring is associated with a growing direct presence of the major Latin American cartels on European soil. We're talking about the Brazilian PCC, the Colombian Clan del Golfo,
And even the Sinaloa cartel.
and the Mexican Sinaloa cartels. They're planting permanent roots. This has gone way beyond a supply chain problem. It's a permanent invasion of criminal enterprise.
It's a huge structural threat. Okay, so we've covered the drugs, the high-tech transport. Let's shift to the profits. Billions in cash. How on earth do they launder that much money?
Well, the cash is their biggest bottleneck, and they solve it by using the informal value transfer system, shadow banking.
Because the formal banking system has too many controls.
Way too many. So they've been forced to use professional services based purely on trust, like the ancient Hawala system.
Explain Hawala for us. How does it work with no banks, no wire transfers?
It's often called trust banking. So let's say you have cash in Paris and you need it in Bogota. You give the cash to a Hawala broker in Paris.
Okay.
That broker calls his counterpart in Bogota, who then gives the equivalent amount to your recipient. The actual cash never crosses a border. It never touches a regulated bank account.
It's completely invisible to regulators.
Completely. And the key figure here is the seraph, or the super facilitator.
The hidden banker.
The hidden banker who mediates this whole clearing mechanism. They connect the global networks and charge a hefty commission for it, maybe 5% to 15%.
And we can see just how deep this goes with the virus case.
The virus case is the perfect and most horrifying illustration. Drug money was collected in cash in Paris. The seraph then cleared it, but not by sending it to a cartel.
So where did it go?
He connected the drug traffickers to wealthy, supposedly legitimate individuals in Switzerland who wanted to evade their taxes.
You're kidding. So legitimate business people were actively using drug money to hide their own wealth.
Precisely. We're talking a local elected official, a lawyer, a doctor, an entrepreneur. They profited from drug money by exchanging it for their own untaxed funds.
But that's the ultimate interpenetration of legitimate society and financial crime.
The financial elites are literally feeding off the profits of transnational drug trafficking. It shows the corruption isn't just some guy at a port, it's a moral failure at the highest levels.
Unbelievable. Let's zoom out then to the global operations. Who are the main foreign networks driving this instability inside Europe?
For that, we really have to focus on the role of criminal groups from the Western Balkans. They are crucial. They control the process end to end.
All the way from financing to distribution?
Yes, and they're operating directly in Latin America, in places like Ecuador and Brazil. The problem is so severe, Montenegro now ranks 5th in criminality out of 44 European countries.
And that kind of dominance, it inevitably leads to violence.
And extreme bloodshed. We've seen a transnational mafia war erupt between two rival groups from the tiny town of Kotor, the Ekeljari clan, and the Kavac clan.
And this was all over one shipment of cocaine.
One shipment. It has led to dozens of killings of Montenegrins and Serbs since 2014, with the violence spilling over into public executions in Greece, Turkey, and Austria.
It's easy to talk about tons and billions, but that's the real-world consequence. Transnational contract killings right in the middle of Europe.
It shows a level of ruthlessness that is fundamentally destabilizing regional security. And as the main routes get more scrutiny, these groups are, again, adapting.
Where are they moving now?
They're expanding their reach into West Africa,
Yeah.
Senegal, the Gambia.
Using it as a new staging ground.
A critical hub for logistics, storage, and redistribution. The region's vulnerabilities and weak governance make it the ideal place to organize multi-ton shipments heading straight for Europe. They find and weaponize every weak link in the global chain.
So if we synthesize all of this, narco submarines, shadow banking, gang wars, what's the core takeaway for you, the listener?
I think the core takeaway is that this battle is fundamentally against relentless adaptation and deep institutional infiltration. This crisis is fueled by high demand, yes, but also by pervasive corruption and the sheer technological supremacy of these criminal networks.
And our traditional enforcement methods just aren't keeping up.
They're proving insufficient. And the cost of this flood isn't just crime. It hits public health directly. Cocaine was involved in about a quarter of all drug overdose deaths in Europe in 2023.
It just metastasizes through the whole of society.
The violence, the corruption, it erodes the very institutions designed to protect us.
It's clear that temporary enforcement boosts just move the problem around. And with Latin American cartels and local European criminals partnering up, this shadow invasion is only intensifying. So here's the final provocative thought we'll leave you with. Given that these networks can weaponize corruption and exploit institutional weakness across borders, what societal safeguards, beyond just more police patrols, must we radically strengthen to effectively push back against this highly sophisticated systemic threat?